welcome back to the Movie Marketing and Distribution Podcast, powered by Usher U. My name is Alex Stoltz. As well as hosting this show, I am head of film at Usher U and run a company called Future of Film. At Usher U, we are passionate about this topic of movie marketing and distribution, and everything we do is driven by a desire to make this process easier, more cost-effective and impactful. To find out more about our solutions for distributors and national film organisations, as well as access all of our other podcasts and free resources, just head over to usheru.com. I will spell that. That is USHERU. That's usheru.com, or just drop me a line at alex@usheru.com. So, yes, this is a show where it's dedicated to the business and art of marketing and distribution, and how innovators and entrepreneurs are changing the game. As we all know, exhibition and distribution continue to go through a lot of change, driven by new technologies and changing audience behavior. So I am very excited today to be speaking to an innovator who is working right at the nexus of this transformation, Noortje van der Sande. And just a little bit about Noortje. After a 20-plus year career in the film industry, she is co-owner of film marketing agency Herrie Film and TV, together with, it's got lots of Dutch names now, which will test me, Anke van Diejen, who currently forms the management of virtual cinema platform Picl. And I will spell that. That is Picl, Picl.nl. In the Netherlands and Belgium. And we're going to be talking a lot about Picl on the show. She is currently conducting research into the new hybrid film consumer, something which is so relevant right now, and a Creative Europe financed research into the future of virtual cinema under the title REACHM. Together with Babette Wijntjes. I'm really struggling with my Dutch pronunciation. I'm sorry, Babette. I apologize. And Anke van Diejen, she is also co-owner of distribution company Vedette Film. Noortje, I'm so sorry for my pronunciation problems. And it's lovely to see you today. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me, Alex. But you did fine.
Oh, thank you. It made me feel a little bit better. So it's great. I'm really looking forward to this, and really excited to hear about what you're working on and this space you're in, which is so relevant today. Just touching all these different these really important parts of the changing industry, and I'd love to just jump in to hear about Picl and tell me about this, because there was a lot of talk about virtual cinema during the pandemic, and a lot of talk about it. But my understanding is Picl, you set that up, long before that time. Is that right?
Yeah, we did. We started with Picl in 2016 already. And we started out as a really small experiment in the Netherlands with 6 cinemas joining, in which we experimented with offering films that were in the cinemas at the same time online by these cinemas. And back then, this was a really big thing. We really had a strict window legislation all over Europe, but in the Netherlands as well. And especially for the smaller, we found out that especially for the smaller art house films or documentaries, they were only screened in the cinemas for 1, maybe 2 weeks. And then there was a large black period where these films weren't screened at all. And then they would come to the TVOD or the other windows, and then you could see them. But the audiences for these films are quite niche and small. And after a half-year black window, they couldn't find it anymore. It was really hard to attract the audience again as a filmmaker or a distributor. So we thought, well, there are chances in offering these films online at the same time together with the cinemas. So it's not cannibalization, but the cinemas offer these films themselves as well. And they also get a revenue share, as well as the maker and ourselves. And we started out really small, and each year we grew a little. And during COVID, of course, there was a large explosion, I would call it. We had a lot of cinemas joining, and the audience could really find us, and it was really appreciated that with buying a film on Picl, you support your local cinema. So then we had a large growth.
It's day and date, is that right? So the films show on the VOD on the platform at the same time as cinemas.
It is partly. In the Netherlands, we work day and date, but we also have Picl in Belgium, and there we offer only older films. And that's what we found out. Each country has their own. It's not the same in each country. In the Netherlands, we could do day and date because we had distributors who were open to it, and also cinemas, but also not with all films. But we found out that offering these films day and date had a few good things about offering these films day and date. And one of them is you can put in a very focused marketing budget, especially for the smaller films. Because we started out in 2016 again. We started Picl, and with me, I mean myself and Anke van Diejen. We started as a marketing company. And what we noticed is we would work together with a team of makers and producers for these films, setting out a marketing strategy, reaching out to target audiences. And then you would put a lot of effort in this. And then the film would not screen after 2 weeks. And that's what made us think, well, we can do this better. There must be another solution for this. And if you offer these films day and date, then you can offer these. Then you can put in one marketing budget and reach people who would love to watch it in the cinemas and people who would like to watch it online.
Yeah, it's the only industry I know of where you would take the products away from the consumer. And it presents quite a big challenge, obviously, to get that attention again. And were you also running Vedette Film at this time as well? Was this why you sort of saw the opportunity?
No, we started with Vedette Film, which is a distribution company later, actually after the COVID lockdowns.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting. So tell me where Picl is now. You know, you've had that big explosion during 2020, and now we're coming back into this period where the cinemas are open, of course, and there is a pipeline of product coming out, but it's different. It's less films. There's more competition. There's less. Audiences are being more choosy. How are cinemas, responding to this platform now?
Yeah, that's something that that we are looking into as well, because I think we all agree that the world is really different now than it was in 2019, and where everybody embraced online and digital during COVID because we had to. We see that now people are looking for a new equilibrium. So you see that some people really want to go back to the way it was before, saying, no, we don't want to have anything to do with online anymore. Our main concern is get people back to the seats, back in our cinema, which of course is very, very understanding. But we do see that there are still a lot of chances in offering online. And we ourselves were really looking, what are these chances and how can it really stand next to the offline offering? So we did a large research about this. And one of the questions we, for example, had in the cinemas as well was, of course, are these the same people? Do people when do people prefer to watch online, and when do they want to come to the cinema? And there are a lot of things we found out, but one of the main things is that if people really like art house movies, and I mean the European quality art house movies, they would want to see it. And most of them prefer to see it in the cinemas, but also they really appreciate it if it's online available as well. Because these films aren't screened on a daily basis most of the time, or maybe not in the whole country. So there are 3 reasons we found out that people would want to go to the cinema, but cannot make it because 1, it's not playing at the time it suits them, or 2, it's already out of the cinema, or 3, it's not screening in a cinema nearby. So these are thresholds that you cannot take away. These people will not go to the cinema. And then as a cinema, it's really an extra service to your audiences to offer these films online as well.
Yeah. Is this, are you touching on this hybrid consumer research you've been doing?
Yeah. Because then that was step 1. And also we really wanted to know, are these actually the same people who watch online and offline? And we could really dive into the data in this, because at the Picl platform, as a consumer, if you go to the platform, you have to choose a cinema where the revenue is going to. So we can exactly see what kind of virtual cinema tickets are being sold by each cinema. And what we did was compare these virtual ticket sales to the actual on-site ticket sales. And we could see that these are mostly the same people who sometimes decide to go to the cinema and sometimes decide to watch online at the same cinema.
That makes sense. And so it's the loyal audience.
It's the loyal audience, and cinemas can use virtual cinema then as a loyalty scheme. If you can't come to us, then of course our service is to offer our films online as well. But as a cinema, you can also choose not to offer the exact same film that you're playing, but maybe some extras. For example, maybe older films of the same director of the film, which is premiering at your cinema. Or maybe Q&As, or you can do a lot with the programming of virtual cinema. And we found out that the audiences really appreciate this as well.
That makes so much sense. I think thinking about it as not just a alternative to going to see the same film, but creating this sort of programming around the in-cinema offer. And the in-cinema offer, let's say, I'm a cinema, I want that to be the primary, the primary sort of experience. But if people can't make it, if they want to find out more, if they want to continue their experience, then there's always, there's other content around. And it really, I think, opening that up, and the idea of a membership program is also really interesting. Is that something the platform currently can offer as sort of subscription model, or is it just on individual?
Yeah, it's not something that we now offer in the Netherlands, but of course it can be something which maybe other countries or other cinemas can offer. What I'm trying to say is, in the Netherlands, this is the platform we made. Also together with the local distributors and the local cinemas, and this is what works. But there are a lot more opportunities to make an interesting online component for your consumers as a cinema.
Yeah, so it's for cinemas. Yeah, they've been through a lot. Let's give them. Let's be kind, because it's been a difficult time, of course.
It is,
but it's there's no. Yeah, the market doesn't wait, does it, for people to get to, isn't always kind. And I suppose they need to think about what is going to be their strategy for the online digital space?
That's it. The thing is, people, of course, are used to watch streaming online, and they do. They do watch films online, and we all do. And if you offer streaming yourself, that can really be an added value, because else it's the people at that moment that either decide to watch a Netflix film or a art house cinema of their own cinema. It's not the decision they make, I'm now going to the cinema, or I'm not going to the cinema, I'm going to stay at home. It's a different choice they make at that moment.
Yeah, particularly if they are that loyal, regular cinema customer. Really interesting. Yeah.
Also, a very important thing to point out is that the Picl platform is really curated. It's curated also by the cinemas themselves. So we don't have a large catalog, because we found out that the audience of these art house films, they really want to be guided, for example, by their own local cinema. That's a cinema they trust and they know, and if a film is screening there, then they know it's a good quality, nice film. They don't have to dig through a whole catalog to find a film. And that's what's really appreciated as well.
It makes sense. Cinemas are experts in programming. They should be experts in their audience, so they should know what their audience are interested in. And that just makes sense, because it can be so overwhelming, isn't it? Sometimes just trying to find something to watch, and too much choice.
Exactly.
That's crazy to say, but that's another great feature. So this is really interesting. This research about the hybrid consumer, is that going to be published?
It is. And we have plans of maybe making sort of hands-on workshops as well. So we're
2023 sometime, maybe. That's great. I think it's it's just great to get some of that insight already now in this conversation, and just to start sort of unpacking it a bit. Mm-hmm. So tell me just a bit more about the data, if you can, about the platform. How much data do you get about the audience? In terms of how much data do you get about the audience, and how do you use that in the platform?
Well, as an online platform, it's quite easy to collect data. And of course, it's all, I don't know the English, GPRD certified.
Yeah, GDPR.
So, yes, exactly. Yeah. But still, you can collect a lot of data. And of course, what for us is really interesting, and what we think really has an extra value, is if we compare these online data with the offline data. And one of the other things that we find out is, for example, how to that the audience, the art house audience, is really interested in a film in the whole life cycle. Because now all marketing budget is mainly focused on the theatrical window. And we see that, of course, the audiences would like to go to a cinema, but these same audiences are also interested in information when this film goes online, either if it's the same day, if it's day and date, but also maybe if it's a bit later in the life cycle of a film. And at that moment, they really appreciate it if this information is from their local cinema as well. So that's what we found out, and that's why we see it's very nice that we can compare these data. And also, one of the things that we found out is that there are people who watch online who have at this cinema, who have never been to the actual physical cinema. So it is a way in reaching new audiences as well. We did a test and we compared the data of the platform with the data of local cinemas. And then we could find out that a large percentage of the people we could redirect to their local cinemas, a place where they have not bought tickets before. So that's also a really interesting conclusion.
Yes. Audience development.
Yeah.
And remind me, the films on the platform, are they films that you're distributing or other people?
No. It's these are really different companies.
Yeah.
Picl is a foundation.
Yes.
So it has no, and I'm the director of Picl. And that's a different company than Vedette, our distribution company.
Yes.
So, Of course, with our distribution company, we decide to put a film on Picl as well, or maybe sometimes not. But Picl, the platform, is open to all distributors, and we work together in the Netherlands and in Belgium with all independent distributors.
You're listening to the Movie Marketing and Distribution podcast powered by UsherU. How is your marketing strategy right now? Are there areas you want to improve? Or perhaps you are looking for some fresh inspiration and ideas on how to remain ahead of the curve? Well, the UsherU Marketing Scorecard is a completely free resource to identify your marketing strengths and opportunities in less than 5 minutes. Head over to scorecard.usheru.com and you'll receive a personalized report on your marketing, what's working well, areas of improvement, and quick wins. So that's scorecard.usheru.com. Score your marketing today with UsherU at scorecard.usheru.com. And now back to the show. What have you found out to be best practice in terms of where you drive audiences to? So if for an online campaign, marketing campaign, where do you send audiences to? Is it to Picl? Is it to the cinema? Is it to another web platform for the film? Or do you give them a choice?
Well, I think it's best to give them a choice because it depends on the sort of audience it is. Is it young, old? Does he or she live far from a cinema or not? Does he or she have time? So each consumer makes their own choice to go to a cinema or to watch online, and it's very locally. I think it's really, you can really dive into the deep data and find out interesting patterns. But if you have not the time or the money or the interest in really making a very segmentized audience, then of course always better to give people the choice.
Yeah, and presumably cinemas have their own page on the site. Is that so they can share that page with their audience and bring people that way? Yeah. What's been some of the in terms of which films have worked best on the platform? Are they the same films which have worked best in the cinema? Is it the same, or are you seeing a differential there?
Yeah, in general it is. If it works best in the cinemas, it works best online as well. But also what really works well are films which are screened for a short time, but do get a lot of attention from, for example, impact screenings. And you see that a lot with documentaries mostly, but also sometimes with films, is that you have a sort of an event release in where you have local events and maybe together with the director or other professionals. And these events get a lot of attention, but then it's only screened one evening or maybe 1 week. and then it's gone. And especially these films, if you can stir up a larger interest, then these people will watch online as well.
I'd like to talk a bit about Vedette, if that's okay, just to find out more about your role there. So yes, you set Vedette up after the pandemic, after that massive change. So what was the opportunity you saw then? What was the thinking behind that?
With Vedette, we focus on releasing films from a female perspective. We found out that this was done not enough, at least in the Netherlands. And we also found out that in the Netherlands, for example, there are a lot of independent distributors, but not one of them is female owned. And we thought this should change. So that's why we started Vedette.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and we've been releasing films now for 2 years. So far so good.
Yeah. And your background in marketing, it must be fun, satisfying to be able to just not have that client. I suppose, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with clients, but be able to get on with the marketing yourself and execute it that way.
You mean if we are the distribution company and a marketing company as well?
I'm just thinking, before Vedette, you were working as a marketing company, helping other film distributors do their campaigns, but now you're able to do that directly. And I imagine that's quite fun.
It is. But I must say, it's not that part wasn't fun. Working at Herrie, and it's a bit different because with Herrie we really focused on more impact releases, impact and outreach releases. So that's a bit different. Yeah. How
is the general market for art house films in the Netherlands at the moment? What's the sort of mood, and how do you feel about it?
Yeah, well, I think we can all agree not only in the Netherlands, but in all European countries that a lot has happened and a lot is still happening. So we're all looking for the new normal. That's what I think. And it's not easy to release art house films. It's really hard to get your films across to an audience, to get it in cinemas for a long enough period. So it's hard work. But I do think that now is a period in which you can experiment a lot and in which people are open to try new things. And I think that is inspiring.
So do you think, you've had a lot of success with Picl in the Netherlands. Do you think that's something which is specific to your territory, or can other countries, other markets use similar ideas, similar techniques?
Yeah, I do think so. And of course, in the Netherlands, we are really lucky that we have a lot of independent cinemas and cinemas that are open to working together and are open to innovation and trying new things. So in that way, we are really lucky. But also, I do think that the lessons we learned with offering virtual cinema, that some of these can really be very interesting for other countries as well. And of course, we have a virtual cinema solution now, which is a central platform, which is Picl, and where cinemas can join. But there are a lot of other possibilities as well. And I think it's a really interesting time now to see, during COVID, a lot of these experiments popped up, and some of them stayed and some of them went away. And I do think it's an interesting situation now to see if the lessons we learned, if we can really make them more sustainable, that we can offer virtual cinema in a more sustainable way, where distributors and cinemas work together. and we did. We're actually now doing research within the REACHM project, which you mentioned already, which is financed by Creative Europe, and which we work together with Europa Cinemas and Europa Distribution. And we did a large survey with cinemas as well as distributors, asking about their experiences with virtual cinema, but also what they would like to see in the future and where they think that the chances are, and what they found out with offering virtual cinema in the past year. And I'm really, the results are not completely finished yet, but I'm really looking forward to that. And I think that can be very interesting.
Can you share any preview of what the sort of the area, where do you think it's sort of heading to in terms of, can you?
Well, I think that a lot of people tried a lot of things. And I do think that people also tried because they think that it's really interesting for audiences and that there are really chances. But there are questions about how to do this, because of course it is a lot of work. Offering virtual cinema, it's not just putting a film online and then see what happens. It's a lot of work. You have to have a good technical solutions. You have to have marketing insights and use your virtual cinema platform as a marketing tool as well. And also you have to think about programming, which can be something completely different than programming your cinema, your on-site cinema. It has something to do with rights. It's not that easy. So I think a lot of people are now searching for a good solution in where you can use chances, but still would not have too much work because it is a lot of work if you do it on your own.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I'll be really fascinated to see the results. In terms of your, looking at a wider perspective of the industry, what are for you? I suppose that this is a make-believe question. If you had a magic wand, Noortje, and you could fix one thing in the industry, what is that one thing which you would love to change?
It's not an easy question, but I think if there's one thing I could change, then it would be that we would all try to work together a bit more. You sometimes see that people are really working on different islands, and that a cinema is trying to do their own thing, a distributor is trying to do their own thing, marketing companies are trying to do their own thing, which is all good, but sometimes it could be really interesting to look at each other and see where you can work together. And that was something really interesting thing which I found out at the Europa Distribution panel, in which I was at AFM. And there were a lot of distributors, but all the distributors in the panel also were hybrid companies. And I think that's something new, where most companies are not only a distributor, but they maybe also have a cinema or a platform, or there are other hybrid solutions, of course. But I think that can be quite inspiring if you look at each other more.
It's how to achieve that. Of course, I know we're talking in fairy tales here
when
we have a magic
that.
wand. No, I know. But I'm just, it's challenging, isn't it? It's there's been, since I've been in the industry, and it's, and for long before, there's always been talk about how distributors and exhibitors can work more closely together, and it feels like an initiative like Picl is really progressive in terms of it is actually moving things forward. It's that wouldn't have been possible before, but now it's just really urgent, isn't it? This way to bring people together and look at how we can, just share those initiatives and really serve the audience.
Yeah, and I think it's really important, especially if you look at the European art house films, because there's so much competition, and you really have to try hard to find the audience for your film.
Yeah, and that includes festivals, right? As well, it's like how to maximize that exposure and then bring it into the exhibition chain. It's just a lot of different stakeholders to, but everyone has the same goal. So
it is, in the end we do.
And in terms of, but on a optimistic note, Noortje, what are you excited about going forward in terms of the future of the industry?
Well, I do find it my own personal challenge that I think there is an audience for art house films, and it is bigger than we reach now. And I do hope to find more opportunities to reach these audiences more, so more people will watch art house films. And I think we have to be really innovative and creative to find new ways. But I do think that it is possible.
In terms of your own films under Vedette, what have you got coming up which you're looking forward to letting audiences see?
One of the films that we are releasing very shortly is Alma Viva, the Portuguese selection for the Oscars. And we're really looking forward to that. Exciting.
Well, look, it's been such a pleasure talking to you today. Thank you for sharing the insights, and congratulations on the innovation across all the different fronts. And really looking forward to seeing the next, the reports and the research when they come out. Thank you for joining the podcast, Noortje.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You've been listening to the Movie Marketing and Distribution Podcast, powered by Usher You. If you want to know more about how Usher You can transform your marketing and distribution, just head over to usheryou.com, or why not drop me an email at alex@usheryou.com. But in the meantime, thank you again for listening, and look forward to welcoming you back on the podcast very soon.